In the vast and mystical Xinjiang continent, a bald, barely dressed man named Garbage Ash emerges and claims that he is a newly ascended immortal who can unlock a revolutionary method of cultivation. He declares that whoever tries his method will get an unquenchable passion for immortal cultivation in just 3 minutes. Everyone listening to his words goes crazy, and this ushers in a golden age of cultivation that sweeps through every corner of the land. In Zhongping City, a peaceful mortal town nestled far from the continent's bustling centers, several pillars of light begin to pierce the night sky, each representing the fact that a cultivator achieved a breakthrough. The townsfolk gather in the streets and celebrate the appearance of these magical lights from the sky. A golden pillar signals that someone ascended to the realm of the great martial master. While everyone else is happy, one lonely and pathetic figure named Feng lounges in a chair in the town square and doesn't seem to be interested in what's happening. He thinks about 5 years ago, when his own journey in this world began. Feng remembers the moment he arrived, barely dressed, surrounded by floating rocks, and several cultivators locked in fierce aerial battles. It was like stepping into a colorful and vivid dream. He thought that as a traveler or a soul from another world, he would surely be blessed with a system or a magical entity called Golden Finger to guide him to unparalleled power. Seconds later, an ugly, muscular creature appeared before him, its head fitted with a rectangular box. With a nasty grip on Feng's head, the creature introduced itself as the system Golden Finger, the savior every traverser dreams of meeting. Feng, trembling and bloodied, could only stare as the creature boasted of its unrivaled prowess in the Golden Finger world. Then, the system Golden Finger promised to teach Feng an unrivaled martial arts system, which would include boxing, swordsmanship, or any divine technique. It even conjured a 600 square meter martial arts gym out of thin air, declaring it the starting point of Feng's journey. Feng started daydreaming and envisioned himself meditating in the clouds, wielding divine powers and surrounded by a harem of beauties. He happily shouted that he was ready to start his immortal cultivation journey. After hearing this, the system Golden Finger froze and its smug demeanor fell. It pointed to the words "spiritual root" etched on the box atop its head with a stern expression. The creature then explained that cultivation required a spiritual root, and then added that losers like Feng lacked it completely. Before Feng could protest, the creature vanished, leaving him alone with shattered dreams. Soon after, Feng went to Zhongping City's spiritual root testing center, where a glowing device confirmed the brutal truth: he had no spiritual root. The receptionist even rubbed salt on his wound by declaring that the path to immortality is not his destiny. For 5 years, Feng returned to the testing center again and again, hoping for a miracle. But each time, the device delivered the same verdict that he was and will always be a loser with no spiritual root. After trying and repeatedly failing to become a cultivator, Feng settled into a mundane life in Zhongping City as a street vendor. One day, as Feng is busy at his small stall, selling hand-drawn martial arts books, a naughty orange-haired girl named Luo arrives. She is accompanied by her white-haired sister, who is also a powerful cultivator. The younger sister marvels at Feng's books and even declares that she has never seen anything like them. Sensing an opportunity to make some fat bucks, Feng greets them with a smile and kicks in his merchant instincts. The white-haired cultivator assesses Feng and notes his refined demeanor, but then dismisses him as an ordinary, looser mortal. However, Luo stays undeterred and eagerly flips through the books to tempt her elder sister into buying them. She then points to a book titled Master Ma's Lightning Whiplash and asks Feng if she's a genius. Her elder sister is exasperated and grabs Luo by the hair, insisting they leave as they have no time for stupid stall sellers like this. But Luo resists and starts throwing a tantrum. In a flash of uncontrolled power, her body swells to a muscular giant's form, smashing a hole in the ground. When the smoke clears, she is happily clutching the tiny book in her oversized hands. The white-haired cultivator sighs and tosses a handful of coins at Feng's stall as payment before dragging Luo away and warning her to control her strength around mortals. But Feng sees that the payment is not enough and shouts at them. As the girls leave Zhongping City, Luo pesters her sister to read the book together, and even praises its beauty. The white-haired cultivator agrees to do so reluctantly and flips open the pages. A torrent of aura erupts from the book, enveloping the big melon baddie and sensations only a cultivator can perceive. She feels loneliness, abandonment, and the thrill like there is some sort of a cosmic festival going around her. Images of the system Golden Finger and other enigmatic figures flash in her mind, radiating an overwhelming martial essence. Her clothes shred under the force, and a black octopus-like entity briefly wraps around her, intensifying the surreal experience. Gasping for breath, her face flushed and drenched in sweat, the white-haired cultivator hottie realizes that she has broken through to the great martial master realm after reading just one page. Luo also has advanced to multiple realms, but she doesn't notice her own breakthrough because of her excitement. The cultivator stares at the book in disbelief, and soon her thoughts turn to that loser stall seller Feng. She starts questioning if this unassuming mortal is a hidden master or a world-class expert who is hiding his power. With urgency gripping her, she resolves to report this discovery to her master at once, knowing the book and its creator could reshape the very foundations of cultivation. Somewhere in the dense forest of Xianjiang continent, an unnecessarily shirtless old man named Lu, the head of the castle peak gate, grips his spear, which glows with a golden aura. He is the master of Wuling martial arts and is preparing to strike an injured monstrous beast. The beast, who is already battered from a fight with a group of men, stands amid lifeless bodies thrown across the ground. Lu thinks he is some sort of a badass and declares that he intends to claim the beast's head. But just as he lunges, a powerful purple aura surges forward, striking the beast before Lu can do so. Blood splatters everywhere, and the beast collapses while Lu watches on like a kid whose ice cream fell on the ground. Suddenly, a voice calls out and claims the elimination, and Lu turns upwards to see that it is his rival, Nin, the ancestor of the Xuanwu sect. Nin absorbs the beast's power and his aura intensifies as he breaks through to the realm of Martial King. He thanks the warriors from Qingshan Gate for weakening the beast, but says the credit of eliminating the beast is his. The pathetic old geezer Lu is enraged and accuses of lacking martial ethics. He explains that Qingshan Gate hunted the beast for months, suffering heavy casualties, only for Nin to steal their prize like a shameless thief. Nin smirks and challenges Lu to a death fight in 3 days, boasting that his Xuanwu sect will soon swallow and spit out Qingshan Gate. Backed by his unscathed sect members, Nin points confidently at Lu, who is standing with his injured and useless soldiers. Lu glares at his enemy but remains silent as sweat drips down his face. Meanwhile, in Zhongping City, a small town where mortals live, a woman is trying to cash in on this big battle between the cultivators by sitting on a stage and trying to sell the fights to an audience of noob mortal citizens. She announces that the normal people will have to grovel and pray to resolve this looming crisis between the two big heavyweights. The crowd, including Feng, stares blankly as they have no idea what the woman is saying, and they simply don't care. The woman curses inwardly, frustrated that cultivator disputes no longer interest them. One audience member calls the issue unexciting, while another complains about her monotonous delivery. Feng, busy lounging and stuffing his face with a bowl of noodles, dismisses the matter as mere territorial conflict. At Qingshan Gate, 2 young cultivators spar with their weapons. One mentions the upcoming duel, but the other questions the point of practicing as the big battle is about to come soon. He believes their master, Lu, is training hard in retreat and will break through before the fight happens. A chubby pig-like old man interrupts the conversation and declares that Lu, whom he served for over 30 years, never backs down in a crisis. They have no idea that their master Lu is not actually training but meditating nearby, and is overhearing their words. In his mind, Lu is soiling his pants as he recalls years of stagnation at the realm of martial spirit, unable to achieve a breakthrough. Fear grips him as he imagines facing Nin, and the old man slowly realizes that he will certainly be defeated. He is so frustrated that he bites a cloth to stifle a scream, and tears well in his eyes. Suddenly, a voice interrupts his thoughts, and he turns around to see Lan, his disciple. She calls out and announces that she has something urgent to show. Lu quickly gets his crap together and composes himself before permitting her to enter. Lan then places a book on the ground, explaining her sister brought it from Feng, a mortal stall shopkeeper in the city. She nervously suggests that Feng might not be just a 4-feet loser, but he might actually be a peerless master in the cultivation world. The arrogant Lu scoffs off at this silly suggestion and grabs the book. Like all old people, he begins a lecture and scolds Lan for neglecting her cultivation and falling for a mortal's trick, calling the book worthless. However, Lan urges him to examine it first, vowing to accept punishment if she's wrong. Lu finally agrees to do so and gives the book a chance. Just as he opens the book, a powerful aura surges from inside and flutters the pages like trees in a hurricane. His eyes bulge, and his jaw drops as a colorful sphere of energy forms around him while revealing a meditating silhouette at its center. The aura envelops Lu, transporting him where all losers go after smoking some medicinal herbs. A grassland at sunset, which is all within his mind. He realizes that he has entered an enlightened state and begins reflecting on recent days. Lu admits that he has been a coward and avoided the pressure of facing the Xuanwu sect in the past. A vision of a man with elastic arms appears, and it strikes him rapidly. Bruised and battered, Lu endures the pain, moaning as he feels a breakthrough. A pillar of light then erupts at Qingshan Gate, astonishing its members. Meanwhile, Lu collapses, reaches for the glowing book while praising his student Lan. The book, which has immense martial intent, enabled his breakthrough to the real of King Wu. Still unnecessarily shirtless, the old man declares the opportunity to defeat the Xuanwu sect has arrived and instructs Lan to follow him to pay respects to Master Feng. Lan panics, recalling how she arrogantly dismissed Feng's book as a stupid drawing book from a mortal being. She now starts fearing that his wrath could destroy the entire Qingshan Gate. In Zhongping City, Feng, who has nothing in his mind other than stuffing his face, stands before a cooking pot, grinning at his finished meal. He muses that mortal methods of exercising hold no value in this world. When 2 cultivators bought his book for a gold coin, he traded it for half a kilogram of meat. Just as he prepares to eat, 3 men arrive at a scene and chase a purple wild dog that stole their meat. The dog, in its mind, mocks them as lowly humans and claims that having their meat gulped down by him must be an honor. It reveals itself as the prince of the wolf clan from the demon world, which falls under the realm of Wu Soul. The demon's spiritual power is nearly depleted as it was framed by its clan, but it vows to devour the men. After spotting Feng squatting by his pot, the dog grins, thinking a simple mortal like that poses no threat. Despite its weakened state, it unleashes its spiritual power, transforming into its true form, and lunges at Feng. Feng, sensing the aura, turns and grabs the demon by the head like it is some puppy that ran away from its kennel. He smiles and asks when did the wolf prince arrive in Zhongping City. The dog trembles and is stunned that its power failed even on a low-level mortal. Furious, it releases a lightning-like aura, yelling for Feng to die. However, Feng remains unscathed, but his meat spills onto the ground, which only makes the latter angry. Pointing at the dog, Feng makes a sus remark by calling it a cutie and says it looks delicious. The wolf prince screams internally as it now realizes that Feng intends to eat it. It internally questions who Feng truly is and how come he is so powerful. As Lu and Lan soar through the skies toward Zhongping City, Feng stares at the trembling wolf prince, now collapsed on the ground, its soul seemingly fled from fear. But Feng scratches his head, puzzled by the dog's reaction, unaware of the power he wields. In Zhongping City, a pale, almost malnourished-looking boy named Zhang faces a harsh reality. The Qingshan sect expels him for sneaking through the Qingshan Gate and lacking spiritual roots essential for cultivation. Sect members rightfully call him a pathetic pretender and warn that another attempt will cost him his life. Defeated, Zhang kneels and starts acting like a kid by pounding the ground with his small fist, crying out to his god. He questions if he is truly a loser doomed to a fixed fate and apologizes to his uncle for letting him down. Nearby, Feng stands with the tied-up prince of the wolf clan beside him. He notices Zhang's posture and asks if the boy plans to steal his barbecue. Feng adds that his renowned barbecue isn't free, even if Zhang calls him daddy. Furious, Zhang stands and declares he would rather starve than eat Feng's meat. But just as he storms off, the aroma of the barbecue tempts him, and an embarrassed Zhang snatches a piece in each hand. Then, Feng's expression turns serious as he points out Zhang's expulsion from the Qingshan sect. The boy, mouth full with stolen barbecue, makes it clear that he is a boy, not a girl despite having hair and clothes like an awkward girl. The boy listens as Feng, who is still puzzled, remarks that with such a good haircut, Zhang should be an idol and not chasing immortality. Feng reflects silently that Zhang's struggles mirror his own as both of them are failures. Noticing Zhang's aimlessness, Feng tosses him the keys to his martial arts hall, suggesting that the boy should work for him. Zhang catches the keys, surprised, and Feng tells him to head to the hall and watch the place while he buys seasonings. Zhang, blushing, clutches the keys and protests that he hasn't agreed to the job, but still wonders if working for Feng might ease his parents' worries. Half an hour later, Lan and Master Lu enter Feng's residence like uninvited guests showing up on a random Tuesday. They call out politely for Feng and step into an elegant courtyard filled with strange statues and paintings. The paintings emit a powerful aura, captivating Master Lu immediately, and he senses they convey tales of sect disputes, strengths, and fleeting moments. He is so overwhelmed that he starts acting like a soap opera character by kneeling, getting enlightened, and claiming that he now understands the power of Feng. Suddenly, Zhang, holding a feather duster and catching his breath, appears before them. Luo and Master Lu are surprised but introduce themselves as Qingshan sect members, causing Zhang's face to darken. Fearing they've come to punish him for sneaking into the gate, he dashes forward, kneels, and begs for mercy, promising never to trespass again. He pleads not to be fed to dogs, saying that he is just a twink with no muscle. Flabbergasted, Luo reaches out to help him up, but her master grabs her hand, scolding her for rudeness. He recalls that a Western deity tests believers' hearts, suggesting Zhang might be such a test. Master Lu begins sweating and notices Zhang's feather duster and the painting's aura, then wonders if Feng sent him to challenge them. He interprets the feather duster as a symbol of removing distracting thoughts and declares they must clean to prove their sincerity. Both grab cleaning tools, wielding them like weapons, ready to banish dust and stray thoughts. Zhang panics, insisting that cleaning is his job and questions if they are truly Qingshan sect cultivators or some bums who are here to steal his place. He also tells them that he is a boy despite his hair and clothes. Later, that night, at the martial arts school's courtyard, Feng forgives baddie Luo for an earlier misunderstanding and says he is glad that she finally paid for a book. He even invites her and her master to stay for dinner. In the kitchen, Feng hands Zhang the tied-up wolf clan prince, suggesting they prepare a dog meat hot pot. Luo and her companion sit at a table with fruits, observing Feng, but they can't gauge his cultivation base and thus conclude his strength is profound. They are also impressed by Feng's knife work, which seems ordinary, but the sliced ingredients appear reborn. Suddenly, Master sees the wolf clan prince and identifies it as a rare sky-devouring demon wolf. He is stunned that Feng plans to cook it and warns his student that eating it could provoke the demon race to hunt Feng forever. He whispers that only someone beyond the martial emperor realm would dare such a thing, recalling how demon wolves once thwarted 30,000 Buddhas. Zhang, who hears this conversation, wonders if their guests are even sane. Suddenly, the demon wolf breaks free, roaring and baring its fangs. Master Lu braces for a fight, but the wolf kneels, begging Feng not to eat it. Feng smiles, pats its head and notes it resembles a pet he once had before crossing worlds. Master Lu is shocked that unlike him some people can be merciful. Luo also remembers Feng's butcher knife, believing it stunned the demon wolf, which is a sign of a pinnacle martial artist. Nervously, she salutes Feng and begs to borrow the knife to save her sect from extinction. Feng's ominous Chad aura unsettles them, but he casually hands over the knife, saying it's not valuable and he can make more. Luo and her companion, overjoyed, treat the knife as sacred, believing heaven favors their sect. Feng turns away and pities them because they are too broke to even afford a normal kitchen knife. The next morning, Master Lu excitedly claims their enemy, Ning, is doomed. Meanwhile, at the Xuanwu sect, Ning demands to see the mole he planted inside the Qingshan sect, a scrawny man named Yu. In a secret room, Yu confirms Ning's recent fears have come true, though the details remain unspoken. In a dimly lit secret room of the Xuanwu sect, a candle flickers and Nin scowls at Yu. The latter reports that Lu, head of Qingshan sect, recently stepped into the realm of martial king. Nin is so arrogant that he shrugs it off, boasting he has been the same realm for over 30 years. He calls Lu a toddler in comparison to his power and experience and says he will stomp any opponents like an insect. However, Nin also senses more urgent and demands Yu get to the real point. Then, Yu's face grows serious as he recounts an event from earlier that day. Luo had rushed back and called all Qingshan disciples to the sect square. Yu, one of them, yawned and asked Zhu, a Qingshan teacher, why they gathered so late. Zhu replied that the only thing she only knew was that they were about to face a trial. Soon afterwards, at the square, all the students faced the massive test jewel, known for its near-indestructible nature. Even magic weapons barely scratched it, a disciple noted. Master Lu stood tall before the jewel, shirtless as usual, while disciples greeted Zhu respectfully, but she dismissed formalities. Lu focused intensely, then touched the jewel with his left hand. In his right, he held a worn kitchen knife that he had earlier begged from Feng. The disciples muttered in disbelief, disappointed by the rather cheap and crude-looking weapon. Zhu questioned its purpose, while another disciple suggested Lu needed a doctor from stress. Irritated by their skepticism, Lu paused and realized the knife's power was untested. He then cautiously tapped the jewel rock lightly, but seconds later a crack formed. Then, to everyone's shock, a massive aura exploded and the whole jewel shattered entirely like a walnut under a hammer. The aura's force pushed disciples to shield themselves as it soared into the sky, visible from afar. In Zhongping City, Zhang watched the sky, mistaking the debris for a meteor swarm. He urged his demon wolf pet to admire it, but the wolf's eyes filled with panic as fragments hurtled closer. It sensed a peerless martial intent, wondering which cultivator wielded such power. Nearby, Feng stood by his window, admiring the red light that was flooding his room. Recognizing the aura, he clasped his hands, mistook it for a shooting star, and wished for wealth and ease, his prayers stretching endlessly. At the Qingshan Square, the disciples stood stunned while Zhu's eyes bulged, and she remained speechless. Yu, on the other hand, cursed, grappling with what he saw as it meant bad news for his real master. Old man Lu stared at the knife, both terrified and amazed as he had barely struck the jewel. Nobody cared what he felt like, and the disciples cheered, convinced their sect was saved. Lu marveled at the knife's overwhelming power, but decided to use it sparingly. It felt beyond his control. He suspected Feng, its maker, surpassed even the martial ancestor realm. Facing his disciples, Lu declared that in 2 days, he will challenge the Xuanwu sect to a death match, and everyone roared in support. Back in the secret room, Nin, who just heard about the secret weapon a kitchen knife, narrows his eyes in suspicion. Yu tells Nin that Lu's rapid breakthrough and the knife's power seem unnatural, hinting at outside help. Nin, arms crossed, listens silently like an auntie listening to gossip. Yu nervously asks if they should act, but Nin tosses a blue pill, revealing that Yu has been suffering from ice toad poison for 3 days. He calls it Yu's reward for the news and promises freedom once all of Yu's tasks are complete. The latter kneels, thanking his master as the pill rolls before him. Nearby, Ling, a female Xuanwu disciple, lingers in the shadows by the side of the room's entrance. Nin calls her to join him at the sword graveyard, and the two get ready to do something dark and sinister. Later, at the sword graveyard, 2 disciples bicker as one recalls their late master's warning to never unseal the soul-dementing sword. The other scoffed at his teammates' cowardice and demands the seal be opened. But even before they act, the seal bursts open like it is some inexperienced noob who is doing it for the first time. Ghastly spirits spill out, draining life from birds and plants, while the disciples flee in terror. Not long afterwards, Nin and Ling arrive, cloaked in aura, untouched by the spirits. They hover above the chaos where Ling remarks on the weapon's danger, but Nin chuckles and calls it just the beginning. He vows to crush the Qingshan sect with a soul-dementing sword, making all gods or demons bow to him. With a wicked grin, he eyes the rising sword, ready to rival Lu's knife, while spirits swirl chaotically around a large rock, their rampage unchecked. In Zhongping City, 3 Qingshan sect disciples arrive, panting and frantic, and see that all the city stands are eerily empty. They scour the streets for medical supplies, with their desperation rising to gather several medicines before their boss gets beaten to a pulp. One panics, noting that less than 4 hours remain before the decisive battle with the Xuanwu sect, while another sobs like a wuss, insisting their leader can win without them. The third stares ahead grimly, declaring the duel's outcome will ripple to mortals. They agree the residents' escape is wise, as even a spark of spiritual power could finish them off instantly. Elsewhere, Feng is out there trying to swindle people and make money as he hikes through the mountains, guiding Zhongping City's residents. They carry packed bags, not fleeing the impending clash, but they want to watch 2 giants beat each other. Feng halts and thrusts a wooden pole into the ground with a red-flagged sphere tied to its end. Gesturing to the high ground, he announces they've found the perfect spot to watch the duel, and the crowd cheers. Having awaited this event eagerly, Feng, drooling over the business opportunity, notes the peak's vantage point offers a clear view of the battle. He shouts for those wanting binoculars to line up, renting them at 1 gold per use, calling it a limited-time offer. The crowd scrambles to secure one so that they can clearly watch the battle happening in front of them. At the cliff's base, Nin and Lu face each other while their disciples gather behind them. Nin smirks, mocking Lu's misplaced courage for even showing up, while Lu grits his teeth, retorting that no one knows who will survive. As they lunge, their movements blur and only clashing auras are visible to the onlookers. Nin manages to overpower Lu, landing a punch that draws blood from the old geezer's nose. Lu collapses, and 3 disciples rush to him, but he rises swiftly, waving them back. Then, Lu silently admits Nin's realm far surpasses his own. Had he not reached Martial King after reading Yi's book, he'd be getting his backside beaten into a pulp right now. His hope now rests on one thing, and he is about to pull out his secret weapon. Suddenly, Nin, radiating a sinister aura, taunts Lu, demanding he reveal his magic weapon. Lu becomes pale, starts sweating as he is shocked that Nin knows of it. Yu, standing among Lu's disciples, sneers wickedly as he was the mole who snitched about the secret weapon. Nin leaps, accusing Lu of planning a sneak attack before unleashing the soul-dementing sword and releasing ghastly spirits. Xuanwu disciples cheer, and Ling boasts the sword, usable once at the cost of decades of life, erodes any weapon's spiritual power, rendering all but holy objects useless. To counter that, Lu hesitantly draws his kitchen knife and Qingshan disciples gasp in horror, certain their sect is doomed against the sword's power. Nin, surrounded by spirits, laughs at the knife's ordinariness. His disciples, including Ling, join in, mocking Lu's choice. One jeers that a broken knife is useless, while another calls Lu a fool for facing the soul-dementing sword with a knife used to cut vegetables. Lu, who is now soiling his pants, trembles and clutches the knife he borrowed from Feng. He curses inwardly, fearing the sword will drain the knife's power, leaving it mundane. From the cliff above, Feng's voice booms and he urges Lu to persevere and keep moving forward. He stands with the crowd, many of whom are using his rented binoculars. Feng gestures wildly, frustrated the fight might end quickly, which would mean less money in his pocket. He muses that they're all rented out, though he's unsure who is fighting below or why. Meanwhile, Lu's eyes widen after hearing Feng's voice. Determination surges within him, and he glazes Feng's encouragement by calling it supreme, and then raises the knife proudly. Ashamed of his earlier fear and cowardly behavior, he vows not to dishonor the blade. Then, Lu plants his feet, golden aura flaring from him, and glares at Nin. The latter is still wielding the sword amid swirling spirits, taunts Lu, asking if he plans to cut cans with his kitchen knife. Nin leaps, directing the spirits toward Lu, but as they charge, Lu swings the knife with full force, unleashing a slashing golden aura. With a skill he names Ordinary Knife Attack, he slices through the ghastly spirits effortlessly, surprising even himself. Lu's golden slash surges forward, its power overwhelming, and when it strikes Nin, the latter screams as the aura begins to dissolve him. The Xuanwu sect disciples gasp, stunned that Lu's kitchen knife shatters the soul-dementing sword with a single blow. Ling, wide-eyed with worry, calls out to her master, but Lu's golden aura carves through rocks, gouging a trench in the earth. The ground shakes as the clashing forces collide, but Ling remains focused. She orders the Xuanwu disciples to protect their master, while Zhu, seizing the moment, urges the Qingshan sect to attack and drive the Xuanwu back. As the Xuanwu disciples flee, Qingshan warriors pursue, but Lu halts his sect, surprising Zhu. She argues it's the perfect chance to crush their rivals, however Lu points to a red flag atop the cliff, where Feng is standing silently. Master Lu once again reads the signs incorrectly and warns that continued fighting might anger Feng. Holding the kitchen knife aloft, Lu explains that Feng, indifferent to fame or wealth, lent him this artifact. He believes the great master desires balance and not destruction. Zhu's eyes widen as this concept goes in her thick skull, and Lu adds that Yi seeks harmony between the sects to protect Zhongping City's peace. The Qingshan disciples nod and declare Feng's heart worthy of eternal respect. They take the glazing to next level by saying that compared to Feng, they feel small, like ants. Meanwhile, on the cliff, Feng frowns as he is dissatisfied that the fight ended too soon. Zhongping residents, realizing the duel is over, disperse to their daily tasks. Feng rise to stop them, shouting about a fictional Godzilla and King Kong battle, but they ignore him. Alone with scattered binoculars, he grumbles that the fighters couldn't last longer and wonders how to profit if the battles end so quickly. While descending the mountain through the woods, Feng hears a voice. A girl who is dressed as scantily as a homeless person calls out, asking why he's there. Feng recognizes her as his childhood crush Peng, and he immediately gets tension in his pants. He approaches, playfully tapping her shoulder, and teases if she's meeting a childhood sweetheart. Peng removes her cloak, slaps his hand away, and says he misunderstands. She's there on her master's orders to find a man of high repute. Feng, surprised to hear of a master, stares at her like a slow IQ kid staring at the blackboard during maths class. Peng looks away, admitting she knows Feng means well, but with a cold glance, she reveals she joined the Qingshan sect with a senior's help, despite her lack of qualifications. Her dream was always to learn martial arts there, and she promised that senior to avoid other men. Upon hearing that someone else has rises up his childhood sweetheart, Feng stands frozen. Peng bids farewell, saying they shouldn't meet again. Moments later, Peng meets Yu, and he asks if she found some powerful master up there. Peng replies there was only a mortal, and Yu clicks his tongue, arms, and scolds her for failing to find the expert he sought. He reminds her of her promise, and Peng panics, grabs his hands, and insists Feng is just a lowly martial arts hall owner who daydreams and writes nonsense martial secrets. She clings to Yu's arm, blushing, and assures him he's the only one in her heart, claiming she'd never care for Feng without a chance encounter. Yu smirks darkly and muses that only her looks make her tolerable, or even ghosts would ignore her. In his mind, he rages that Nin, who once slaughtered the Sword Clan single-handedly but lost to an unknown expert's interference. Yu fears that once Nin is recovered from this beating, then old man might pour all frustration on him. Suddenly, a realization strikes Yu as he recalls Yu bought a martial arts book from a Zhongping stall that aided Lu's breakthrough. He then puts up a great manipulative boyfriend act and cups Peng's face lovingly. By buttering her up with sweet talks, he confirms that the man she was talking with owned a martial arts stall and wrote books. Peng nods and once again insists Feng is a mere mortal, but Yu doesn't care as he leaps back, laughing maniacally. With a sinister glint, Yu thinks that if Feng is an expert, he can simply watch the Xuanwu sect fight him, and if Feng is not an expert, he will simply become a scapegoat for their anger. Yu then declares that Feng, a mortal, deserves his fate as their target and continues to laugh, claiming that even heaven is aiding him. At the Xuanwu sect, Nin is furious with the astronomical beating that he got during the battle. His arms, which were cut off, are now bandaged, and veins pop out all over his body as he yells. He directs his anger at Yu, who hasn't found anything yet, but has brought himself to their door like a shameless B-grade sidekick. Yu kneels in front of Nin, with Ling by his side, and tries to come up with an excuse for his incompetence. He trembles, keeps asking for forgiveness, and says that he has already found out that Luo and Lu got the knife from an expert in Zhongping City. He goes onto all fours and bows his head, adding that the person owns a martial arts gym in Zhongping City. This startles Nin and Ling because if there was an expert in the city, they would have known about him. Yu continues to tremble and sweat profusely, telling Nin that although other information has not been found yet, he will definitely find it if they look for it. Nin grits his teeth, looking extremely mad, and says that what Yu claims is nonsense, because if there were any high-level martial arts experts living in Zhongping City, it is impossible that he wouldn't have known them. He then declares that he wants to see which martial expert is helping Lu. Ling interjects and tells Nin she is willing to investigate the matter, but Nin refuses her offer, stating that they have other plans. Nin says that he has already chosen someone for the task and calls for a psychotic disciple named Wu. A few minutes later, Wu immediately lands on the roof of the room in which the meeting is being held. Glancing behind him, Nin tells Wu that although there are usually restrictions on him, this is the time when he is needed. Nin asks if Wu knows what to do, and the latter grins and confidently says that Nin should leave the matter to him. Meanwhile, everything is peaceful at Yu's martial arts gym. A smell comes out of a room, and Zhang enters with a worried look on his face. He thinks that she hasn't been out of his room for 3 days, so it seems that Peng Ying must have really hurt him. When he enters the room, Zhang is taken aback as it is extremely chaotic and dirty. Crumpled papers are scattered on the floor, and Feng is sitting at the end of the room while something smokes in front of him. Worry fills Zhang's eyes even more as hasn't seen his master in a few days, and the room is already in such a mess. It seems Feng is really sad, and Zhang thinks it is unbearable to be so infatuated to a gold digger only to end up like this. Zhang approaches his sensei and tells him that he might be able to help. In his mind, he tells Feng not to worry, as he is there and will never let him fall like that. To his surprise, Feng does not look like he is hurting at all. Instead, he is writing with his left hand and fans a barbecue with his right. As he turns to look at Zhang, he expresses surprise that Zhang wants to help, because he was just going to offer him barbecue, but Zhang instead wants to work. Realization then hits Zhang. Feng is acting nonchalantly and whistling, but inside he must really be hurting. Zhang furrows his brow as he emotionally looks at his master, thinking that Feng must be too sad but doesn't want to show it. He pities Feng, thinking that as a boy, he can't help the master much with matters of the heart. Seconds later, Zhang asks about his master's love, and to his surprise, Feng, while eating some barbecue, tells him that Peng was just his childhood sweetheart. Feng's face fills with enlightenment as he says that women will only affect the speed at which he makes money and the speed at which he can barbecue. Upon hearing this unbelievably stupid argument, Zhang's eyes widen, and he is rendered speechless. Feng then tells Zhang to go and sell the books because he wants to change the carriage next month, so it is all up to him. Feng asks Zhang what he is waiting for and tells him to go and work hard. Before he can react, Zhang is already on the streets, petrified for having to sell B-grade rubbish books. When he comes to his senses, he notices something really strange. Zhang looks at the kind of books he is holding and reads the titles. Stories of men from 3 countries, the story of a group of women and a man, the story of 3 women and 105 men, the story of 4 monsters and a man. He finds them strange and wonders if these books can really be sold. Meanwhile, in the suburbs of Zhongping City, someone calls out for help. It is a man with an already disfigured head, held by Wu. The psychotic mercenary calls him an idiot and says that even if the King of Heaven came, he wouldn't be able to save him. The man screams as Wu pulls out his spirit, leaving only his bones like the pile behind him. Wu flicks his arm and throws the man, adding him to the pile of dried-out corpses. He remarks that if only the taste of that man were good, he could fill his stomach, and he really hopes the guy who runs the martial arts gym can satisfy him. Suddenly, someone confronts Wu, saying that young people must be forgiving, and advises him not to go to Zhongping City anymore. Wu turns around and sees an old man who starts lecturing him like there is no tomorrow. The old man says he is on his way to Zhongping City to pay a visit to an old acquaintance, which means that Wu is not allowed to mess around. Veins pop out on Wu's face, and he is annoyed, asking the old man if he is kidding. But as Wu is about to tell the old man to shut his mouth, he is cut off. The old man attacks him by summoning a huge palm to smash him into the ground, telling him to eliminate himself. As the palm is about to hit Wu, his face contorts in fear, and he is surprised that the old man is a realm above the martial king. The gigantic palm hits the ground with a huge impact, blowing dust everywhere. While the old man's attack leaves a huge dent on the ground, he is surprised to see that Wu is not there. He wonders how a low-level martial artist cultivating evil spirits could escape his blow. A sudden realization hits the old man. He recalls that Wu had pulled out something just as he was about to get hit. The old man finally recognizes it as the sacred stone. He thinks that if the treasure of the emperor has fallen into the hands of such an evil cultivator, then he fears a small city like Zhongping is probably going to suffer. On the other hand, near Zhongping City, Wu, who is hiding, thinks that it was fortunate he had the treasure with him. Otherwise, the old man would have crushed him like dried tobacco leaves. A few minutes later, Wu arrives at Feng's martial arts gym and notes that he had already eliminated all the people in the other martial arts gyms, so this is the last one. With a sinister look on his face, Wu laughs and says that it is not a problem for him at all. He wonders if this crappy martial arts gym in front of him is the home of the unknown expert he is looking for. The sacred stone is an evil object used by the founding ancestor of the Xuanwu sect when he eliminated the immortals. Even in the face of attacks from the higher realms, it can turn the odds in favor of the holder. In the meantime, Ling wonders if Nin misplaced his brain again and looks displeased as she asks why he didn't send her. Nin tells her that Wu has his sacred stone in his hands, as well as an overconfident heart, so even if there is an accident, the sacred stone can protect him from any worries. They just need to do nothing and wait for Wu to bring good news. At the Zhongping city center, Wu arrives in front of Feng's martial arts gym. He laughs as he lets out a blue aura at the tip of his fingers and says that the martial arts gym does not even have a name, so he assumes that it is totally garbage. He flicks his finger and throws the aura towards the signboard at the martial arts gym's entrance. Wu literally steps over the threshold without another glance at the now broken plaque and confidently starts to plan out where he will start destroying next. But unbeknownst to him, what he did triggered something, and he is taken aback when the signboard he had just attacked bursts into flames and emits a golden aura. Suddenly, multiple kinds of weapons form out of the fire and are all pointed towards Wu. He curses at the pressure that is trying to eliminate him, but he confidently brings out the sacred stone and thinks that he is fortunate that he can do everything with it. But to Wu's surprise, the attack hits him directly, creating holes in his body, and all he can do is scream in pain like a little girl. He cannot understand what is happening as his face starts to contort and dissolve into nothingness. Wu disappears without leaving a trace of his body, and all that is left is the sacred stone that falls to the ground. Silence fills the entrance of Feng's martial arts gym as the dust that was stirred up by the attack starts to settle down and dissipate. A few moments later, Feb arrives at the martial arts gym, followed by his twink little servant Zhang, who has a bump on his head. Feng immediately notices the sacred stone, picks it up, wonders who had dropped the stone, and says that it is really beautiful. He raises his eyebrows and smiles as an idea comes to him. He then places the sacred stone at the broken part of the curb, using it to mend the spot, and Zhang is so surprised that the size is just right. A few moments later, the old man who had fought Wu earlier arrives at the gym and sits down to play Xianqi with Feng. One of them overpowers the other, as one player's hand trembles and hesitates to make the next move. The old man tells Feng that when he first started, he thought that he was on the same level as Feng, but when he observed closely, he couldn't see through Feng at all. Looking bored, Feng tells him that it is not surprising that he can't see through him because he is the one who taught him chess and also became the old man who needs glasses. While in his thoughts, Feng wonders why on earth the old man is there to see him again. The old man sweats and thinks that he has come there to play many times, but he still can't see Feng's true cultivation. He opens his eyes and looks at Feng with suspicion, thinking that there are so many secret techniques on the Xianjiang continent, but Feng cultivates a technique that makes others unable to see through his cultivation, and he does not exaggerate it in the slightest. As Feng looks at him with a serious face, the old man thinks that if there were such a person, it would be impossible for them to be an unknown entity in the cultivation world. The old man is lost deep in his thoughts as he continues to think and wonder if Feng is really better than him. He is so absorbed in his thoughts that he is surprised when his opponent reveals that it is his turn and he is in checkmate. He questions when he got checkmated because he did not notice, but before the conversation can go ahead, something catches the old man's attention. He has stepped on the curb, and his jaw hits the floor when he sees the sacred stone is being used to mend the broken spot. He then wonders if Wu was executed on the spot by his host. As Feng sarcastically bows down to him and thanks him for letting him win, the old man thinks about the meaning behind Feng using such a valued treasure to block the threshold. He figures that the master is trying to convey the message that he can pull the sacred stone at will and is challenging him to see what he can do. The old man analyzes that based on Feng's cultivation, he should know the value of the sacred stone, but he still treats the treasure like that. He thinks that whether it is scheming or a chess game, Feng is a bit more powerful than he had thought. With all the hints he has made, the old man realizes that it is a different level of competition. As the old man realizes how Feng can be so confident, he smiles confidently, thinking that the latter seems to have underestimated him. He then calls out to Feng to help him look at something before pulling out his sacred weapon, a magical rake. He asks Feng to scratch his back with it, claiming it is itchy. As the rake sparkles, Feng looks at it with awe, and something seems to hit him. The old man holds his head up and looks proud as he sees his host's reaction. He thinks about how he hadn't just exhausted his possessions. He had even lost half of his life in order to obtain the treasure, the seven-tooth holy rake. But the old man is surprised, and he gets mad when Feng approaches him, rubs the rake's pole, and, with tears in his eyes, tells him to throw it away as it is rusty. Feng says that it must be very inconvenient to do farm work with it. With tears forming at the corner of his eyes, Feng says that he should have realized the old man has been looking for him to play chess again and again, and deliberately lost to him, so he could help to repair the farm tools. As the old man thinks about how Feng has actually insulted the artifact that he was so proud of, the latter takes the seven-tooth holy rake out of his hands and tells him not to be excited. Feng looks at the old man with pity as he thinks about how farming is not easy, and in the end, it is the only thing to make a living for a farmer, so it is not strange to be anxious when something goes wrong with the rake. Do you think Feng can improve the seven-tooth holy rake, or will he destroy its power by his foolishness? Tell us in the comments below if you think that others will discover Feng's true power.